world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show Special Edition, Wednesday, December 18 of the year of the Lord 2024. We are broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Leo and Christy Zagami. We are in the festive mode. Yes? Or mood? Mode or mood? Both. Okay. We have, of course, to thank our sponsors.
Daniel Estes, we're here for you, for your donation. Thank you so much. And everybody thanks you. Because of you, we're here today. So.
That's great. And of course, I would like to remind those who are following us that you still have 12 days to help our show get into 2025 with, of course, 2 shows a week or even 1 show a week, because we are losing one of our main sponsors at the end of this year. So we absolutely need to have your help. But after thanking our sponsors, let's discuss this interesting subject, which is satanic forces behind the Christian school shooting in Wisconsin. And this is we get sadness because there has been some victims, and these things are always, these events are always terrible, but they always blame them on the guns, when instead they never seem to blame them either on the ideology of the shooter and the mental health. And these issues have been very much central to my latest book, volume 11 of my Confessions, The Past, Present, and Future of Mind Control. But in regards to this specific shooting, due to the connections that I will now describe, you will find a lot in The Past, volume 8 of my Confessions, which is To the Son of the Devil and the Great Reset. Now, let me summarize for you what we are talking about, because there is, of course, those people who don't know what we're talking about. We need to, you need to make them acquainted with this information. Now, there was a school shooting. There was a school shooting, like many school shootings, of course. There is an investigation that is ongoing. But because the investigation seems to be leading in the mindset of a brainwashed young kid who was not sure of her sexuality and at the same time has some very left-leaning ideology. And by the way, we're going to be reading what has survived of her or his, whatever you want to call this, manifesto, which really it's pretty hateful, but it gives you an idea. And plus the link to the Columbine mass shooting, because it seems like this person was completely fascinated and obsessed with the Columbine mass shooting. So welcome to the Leo Zagami show. Of course, we might also touch on other subjects, time permitting, and we will dig really deep in this person who has something terrible, but there is some reasoning behind it, and it's a sick, twisted kind of reasoning that we need to analyze. So welcome again to the Leo Zagami show. This is the latest news and regards, of course, police chief says motive for Wisconsin school shooting was a combination of factors, while instead, this is of course the official narrative, but what we're going to describe now and what we're going to discover now seems to be pointing on one direction, and it's always the same direction. And the fact that they immediately closed down access to the X profiles that are connected to this shooter, and the fact that there is a manifesto that is also being hidden, like it happened in the past with that woman transgender who went also and shot a large amount of children in a school. So it's important to be very clear about the fact that probably there is already a cover-up on this teenage girl, 15-year-old, and the motive, because I showed you the Associated Press latest, but I can show you also, for example, the latest from Reuters, which, by the way, just in the last 24 hours, Elon Musk has accused of being just a propaganda tool, which of course it is, of the globalists. Teenage girl's motive in Wisconsin school shooting still unexplained. No, there is nothing actually unexplained. It's pretty clear once you identify what is behind the scene, why there was an X account believed to belong to the shooter, which had a few cryptic posts and also a couple of videos that indicate certain dark fascinations. But the main fascination is indicated by the T-shirt that was worn by this shooter, and also by a photo which was posted on this postal brand on X, which apparently was the profile of the shooter and also the girlfriend, which indicates she was probably a lesbian, and that is her own business. But of course, it becomes everybody's business if you are revenging and killing Christians who you don't think they support you in any way. Actually, you have hatred for them. This was posted just a little time before the shooting. Is probably in a bathroom. This sign is, of course, a sign that indicates something from the shooter. And I repeat, it was posted on Postal Brain on X, and I will show you also some of the postings. We, of course, now no longer have direct access, but thanks God there was a known investigative journalist who often happens to investigate things that have to do with the left and the NGO, who has posted also portions of what some allege is the shooter manifesto. The authenticity, of course, is not fully confirmed, but it is important that we dig deep into, first of all, the two videos, aside from the X account that is now archived, and there is also this these 2 pages at least of the manifesto that definitely gives us some indications regarding this guy and this woman. Sorry, this woman, because with all this fluidity of gender, sometimes you get confused. This was the girlfriend who has a direct connection with the shooter, crystalline at severed head. And,
severed head.
Yes, and it says, in remembrance of Samantha Rapnoe. Samantha Rapnoe is the shooter who was driven to suicide by the worst people this world has to offer. Before suiciding, in a classic shameless satanic mentality, she went on a shooting rampage, and that brought eventually to kill herself. Just like the guys, the Columbine killers, though, she had an identification that leads us all the way to Volume 8 of My Confessions, to the satanic background of these killings. Keep an eye on the T-shirt. It's very important, the T-shirt, because we will find a similar T-shirt on one of the Columbine assassins, and it has the initial KMFDM, which are the initials of an electro-industrial band from Germany, which I explain in Volume 8 why they were following this band, and the reasoning, of course, why they were referencing to it. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show. I hope you're all doing well. We are here thanks to your sponsorship. If you want to support us, we will put here on the screen, of course, a way of doing that through GoFundMe or Cash App. You can find the Cash App handle at leozagami.com, and I will put now on the screen.
Or buy a book.
Or buy a book, of course, and the books are KMFDM. Yes,
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Well, you find it all about in Volume 8 of My Confessions. So here we are now. I'm gonna just put this on the screen so you have a clear idea. Let me explain what this band means, the name of this band. The father somehow helped her because she was introduced to the use of guns by the father, who probably might have been a conservative. In fact, in the manifesto that this person published, there is definitely some references. I'm going to put this so we can hear each other a little bit better. If you have any audio problems during this live show, please indicate it so we can immediately correct, because sometimes we know that there might be technical problems. NBCSC, sorry, which is North Bristol Sportsman Club. This was the place where this Natalie Samantha Rapnoe was practicing her gun use thanks to her father. And it's a sportsman club with a shooting range, of course. And she took advantage of the father to learn, of course, about guns. But in reality, she seems to hate very much the father, because I'm going to show you now, and we're going to try to break down this manifesto, aside from, of course, her obsession with this German band. This German band, I've discussed all about it here in this book, but let's have a small break so we can just fix a technical situation. Okay, so here we are. This is the book, Volume 8 of My Confessions, and here I discuss profusely and in depth the reference to this particular German group, which with Rammstein was indicated as being behind the Columbine shooters, KMFDM. Sorry if I eventually mentioned it erroneously earlier. They eventually apologize, like I explained in my book. But like I say here in Volume 8, the German industrial metal band KMFDM also received very similar criticism in relation to the Columbine tragedy because of their song Son of a Gun, featured on the website of Harris, one of the two killers, and the shooting took place on the day of the release of their aptly titled album entitled Adios. KMFDM frontman, however, then released a statement, of course, to apologize. But like the photo that I showed you earlier indicates, it seems like she was pretty obsessed with the Columbine murders, and she had posted 2 videos on her website that indicate these tendencies, which I'm going to show you now. Welcome to the Leo Zagami show, wherever you are in the world, with Leo and Christy. Satanic forces behind the Christian school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. We are broadcasting live from Palm Springs, California, 18 minutes past the hour, wherever you are in the world. Like I just said, I wanted to show you these videos that seem to indicate that she was definitely fascinated by people who, of course, do these terrible acts. And it seems like she had also, of course, some weird tendencies. But we have here, for example, a bunch of posters that are shown in this video. This is also a repost of that image, image with the sign that was given before the killings. And here is a bunch of posts made by what is supposed to be his the girlfriend, her girlfriend. And this might indicate also the fact that she identified on the actual website with a man rather than posting her own photo seems to indicate that she was probably sexually very confused, as most of these millennials. This is because of the cognitive warfare that these millennials are subject. And so the terrible actions that led to the death of some people in this case is also because not so much because of the gun that she was able to use, but because of the mindset and the fascination with also this dark side. This video posted, for example, by her ex account, alleged ex account, because we still don't have a complete confirmation, is seems to show somebody who is shooting, but has an accident while he's shooting, basically indicating also the fact that they might be suicidal. Let's see. As you can see, somebody who is shooting in a parking lot but ends up dead. So what is this shooting all about? It's indicated in the various articles that are coming out about this shooting. There is also another video that refers to a 2015 assassin that killed a number of people, I think in Sweden, using a samurai sword. So here we have just a second. Let me see if I can find you the video. But most of all, let's see what do we know in regards to the mainstream media to Natalie Samantha Rapp now until now.
And candles honoring the victims of the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. A teacher and a student were killed Monday when police say a 15-year-old girl opened fire with a handgun in a classroom during study hall. Neighbors say this photo, posted on social media in 2023, shows the suspect, police identified as Natalie Ruppnow, who went by Samantha. Police say she died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
It appears that the motive was a combination of factors. Again, we cannot share that information at this time because we do not want to jeopardize the investigation.
Investigators are looking into social media accounts believed to be the shooters, showing signs of a gravitation towards potential neo-Nazi violence and engagement in forums venerating mass shooters.
There are always signs of a school shooting before it occurred. Some of you have reached out about Ruppnow's social media activity prior to yesterday's shooting. We're looking into her online activity.
They searched her home and are now talking to her parents. The second grader says she was changing her shoes when the gunfire started and had to leave them behind.
I just heard sodding and there was a teacher and she was screaming like, "Ah, my leg, help!"
Bus driver Megan Mojica's son survived a shooting at a school in Waukesha in 2019. She and her co-workers came to the school to pay their respects, saying the trauma will be with this community for a long time.
It brought back all the memories from that day, and I wanted to definitely show our support for our own community here.
And the Madison police chief tells ABC News that the alleged shooter's parents are cooperating with the investigation. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Madison, Wisconsin.
So here we have a rather superficial take of what happened by the mainstream media. We are trying today to give instead the more in-depth take about this tragic event. You had all the details, of course, now from the mainstream media. This was the severe head account, severed account, which seems to have elements of concern, with a couple of videos that indicate the fascination with at least people involved in tragic acts. So it's quite indicative of the fact that she had posted these videos. The one that I showed you, the one which of course shows the shooter that then dies, and then there is another one which I'm trying to see if I can find somewhere, but it's basically showing this other gentleman this killer who apparently killed a few people in Sweden. But the main indication is regarding her fascination for Columbine. And I explain in Volume 8 of my Confessions the links that there are, the many links that the Columbine shooters had with Satanism, with one, in particular, one Satanic church sect, you want to define it, which apparently is connected to one of the daughters of Anton LaVey. So these newly uncovered photos and online accounts, which are purportedly allegedly associated with the Wisconsin teen school shooter, suggest a deeply disturbing obsession for the Columbine killer, Eric Harris in particular, even wearing this T-shirt of his favorite band. But it goes much deeper than that, because Harris and Klebold were connected to Satanism. As I explained in Volume 8 of my Confessions, they had direct links. They had been active on a chat board that was used by Satanists before, unfortunately, moving forward with the Columbine massacre. So she was idolizing definitely the wrong people. And the fact that this alleged girlfriend that had this other account that we spoke about instead seems to be not only defending her, but accusing everybody else of having done something wrong against Rapnoe, who seems to be somebody who has some who was deeply disturbed. There is even a Cash App account reportedly linked to her that features a picture of the Columbine shooter. So, and I mean, that is pretty clear. Her father might have not known what was happening. And in fact, the manifesto, which we are now about to analyze, indicates that the Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes told the reporters that the investigators were still working, but if the investigators are working right now at identifying the motives might never really be revealed, because it seems that Rapnoe's gender identity is also in question. The fact that she may have been a transgender links once again to another transgender who did the similar thing and who did a manifesto, and that manifesto was then never really revealed to the public, because at the moment we have, of course, the deep state and still in the White House a bunch of people who glorified this LGBTQ whatever community, even when they do terrible acts of crime. So the small Christian school that was attacked was staunchly conservative, of course, but if you don't want to go there, don't go there. You can't reject your school and kill everybody because you simply don't get along with them. Just change school. Ask your father to change school. So I mean, it didn't happen. You understand, Christy? Yeah. What's your take on that?
Well, I usually sometimes kids don't have a choice on what school they go to. It's a school the parent wants, them to go
but
to.
that doesn't mean that if you don't believe in the values, you can,
The parents must to send her there.
Well, yes, but in fact, this is one of the main things that we need to address, the manifesto, because like I said, the transgender manifesto, for example, of another school shooting that happened here in America not so long ago, and the fact that they hide these manifestos. They hide these manifestos because, they don't want then people to attack the LGBTQ community, the transgender ideology, and all this perversion, which I'm sorry, it's not bringing anything positive. The Nashville shooter, all his health parents were also probably in a similar position, and we can say that it's very sad. I think it's very sad that we are in a society where in the schools people get brainwashed. I mean, myself, just recently I was in Italy my mother was interrogated by a policeman, we discovered whose daughter is identifies as a transgender. She's 12 years old, and they were interrogating my mother about me like I was some kind of criminal.
They're still coming after him
still
after
coming.
everything.
It's just insane what these people do, and so the fact that this Samantha Rapnoe was not happy, this Natalie Samantha Rapnoe, about her own school, the way that she identified and in this school, the way they identify it. But the indication of Satan is even more clear, guys. Is even more clear. Let me tell you, regardless of my own problems with the Italian judiciary, you know why I'm here in America and why I became American, because of what they did in Italy, and they continue to persecute my family. And of course, I might ask help to Trump's new nominated ambassador in Rome as soon as he's nominated, because this seems to be a persecution that needs to end. But let's go into the archives. This was the Twitter account, and this is the burning of a church. So the Twitter account of this Samantha Rapnoe, which identified, of course, with a man. We don't know who this boy is, but didn't present herself as a woman. This was the Twitter that is no longer accessible, but it gives you an idea. The fact that you're posting a church being burnt, I think it's one of the Norwegian church that was burnt. Also, it's very indicative because I talk about this subject in Volume 8 of my confessions, the Norwegian churches that were burned. I used to live in Norway. I mean, this is definitely an anti-Christian, satanic reality. It's an anti-Christian, satanic reality. And then let's go also into, let me see if I can show you some other elements. Unfortunately, like I said, we have some elements from the archives that's been archived before they closed, restricted the access. But in particular, this Crystalline, who was apparently the girlfriend. You see, she reposts.
So why do you think they put that?
And then she says to everyone who is saying, live stream it, do this, do that, or anything, go fuck yourself. Generally, Samantha was one of the nicest, and I'm quoting, of course, Crystalline at Severe Head. Samantha was one of the nicest, most beautiful people in the world. She was perfect in every way. But, and here we are, of course, citing the tweet made on X by Severe Head, but no, people like you just had to ruin her, make her feel hated. So she felt hated in her Christian school. I repeat, if you are not happy with your Christian school, ask your parents to remove you from the Christian school. You can't just train on a gun range with your conservative father to then kill the people in the school. This is completely outrageous. And of course, if it wasn't for post-millennial reporter and the NGO, who posted also portions that I'm going to show you of the manifesto, probably we will never see this manifesto ever, or at least maybe for the next few years they're going to try to obstruct it. Though with Kash Patel, with the change in the DOJ, I hope that these things can be made public and that we can end all this cover-up of these people who are mentally unstable and definitely shouldn't be in a school environment with Christians when they are Satanists, because that's what they are. I'm sorry. This is the part of the manifesto. It's called War Against Humanity. Christy, you can read it, the creation of disaster and why it is so unfair. If you can read some parts of it, it will probably give more clarity to our viewers.
Hatred, something everyone has gotten. In a sense, some people think it's pure nothing, but because of the hate they make, it ends up killing them without knowing it, which go right ahead, I don't mind, but kind of do at the same time. You are just simply nothing but scum in this world, or even think about. Nobody should want you or your body in any way. I hate seeing people on a daily basis just being so sensitive. Gives me one more reason to take off my glasses. The human scum is color and the way people are raised. I've grown around people who do not care or give one single care in the world and smoke their lungs out with weed or drink as much as they can, like my own father. I've grown to hate people and society. It's truly not my fault, though. It never was. But all you and the world have done to me is pick and tease me. You've pushed me into a corner with no help whatsoever. Humanity is filth, and I don't like filth, nor want to live in it, nor should anyone else, and I know it follows me, and how it has followed me and will follow everyone because of how the world is ruined. Ruined. There were so many things I wanted to do as a kid, yet I can admit I was afraid of the other kids, and also even with my own parents, but I don't even trust them, and at that age as well, I didn't, and I never will. My parents are scum.
Now, this is very important because it makes us understand that the father who brought her at the gun range, who taught her basically how to shoot, probably following a more conservative mindset, was himself a victim of a daughter who instead had completely different ideas, and that in the manifesto, which is allegedly her manifesto, War Against Humanity, said, "My parents are scum. There is nothing that will save them to make me think good of them ever again." So she had accused, and she saw these parents as scum. Please continue, Christian, from here. No family to ever trust, and to never trust society. There is two people, and only two people I will trust, one partially and one I will never doubt.
I can agree that I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but neither did my parents or anyone around me. I've changed, and I will not go back to that ever again. I'm hardened and I'm different. The situation of a lifetime is to get the fuck out moment and don't come back. I will never go back and nag my way through life. It's not even my fault, though. It's everyone else's, and it has to be theirs, not mine.
Why it has to be everybody else's fault? Why? Every teen has problems, but teens used to behave in a different way when the world was a more normal place, when they were not force-feeding us this bullshit ideologies in the leftist schools. And even Christian schools are under attack, because then, you see, when you are trying to do the right thing, then they accuse you of being too conservative, and there is these freaks who then retaliate. I mean, I think this is completely outrageous. Please continue.
It's pure idiotic from people to cause this, but it's a good thing that this happens. It always is, and there will always be a reason for this and reasons for other shootings, unless it's some Indian guy who wanted to blow up just for the fun of it, which is what those people do. I find that a bit funny, and not really funny to the point I'd laugh my ass off, but still, maybe you get the point here, or maybe you don't, and think I might be crazy. Maybe you'll see me as a weirdo, a freak, just as some of you do now, but I'm not, and I'm not like the others. I would never, ever want to be like them, with how they think and what they do on a simple day. I hate how the population thinks, grows, and talks, and how they make romance fake. If only some days we could do a public execution, and that would be gladly needed.
Imagine what you kind of hate, or kind of really, I mean...
You have to lift it up. I can't read it.
It's, yes, I mean...
It's getting worse and worse, though. I wouldn't mind throwing... I wouldn't mind throwing some stones at idiots, or even watching from the far back when they get hanged. Twitter can prove that for a fact, or so think, and I think a lot more than some people think, and I do, or maybe they don't think what I think, because most people can't do what I'm going to do. Death is something most people need to embrace and accept, rather than running away from it. Well...
So, I mean, she thought doing what she did was an act of heroism. I mean, it's a cowardly act. It's a completely cowardly act.
Only Satan would validate something like this in someone's mind. So,
I mean, I'm going to show you soon. We're going to discuss the second page of the Shooter's Manifesto. It's kept a secret, probably like it happened before. If you have some kind of transgender involved in a mass shooting in a school, the first thing they do is to cover up everything. This is, unfortunately, the reality of what we are living today. This is another video I discussed earlier. I mentioned earlier, I couldn't find it. It was the one with the swordsman from Sweden. Here is the guy who went on a rampage and of course killed a lot of innocents because she was glorifying these people who do these terrible acts. Now, like I said, NGO uncovered before they restricted the possibility to access to these two profiles that were connected to the shooter. One was apparently her own profile, the other one of her girlfriend. She identified, in fact, as some kind of man, transgender, I don't know what. We're gonna now go on page 2 so that Christy can move on. And
where was it? On the top?
Yes.
Once you know you'll be proven guilty on all charges and wish to be killed in any good way, that is not simple and is more painful than anything, or at least I would hope on that behalf. Revolution and population. The revolution should be well, the population should be well, but it's not and never will be. I want to change that, but will I truly? The population of scum has been worked over the years as it. You have to make it bigger. I can't see.
I can't make it.
Oh, you can't?
No, but, well, yeah, like this maybe.
The population of scum has been worked over the years as it did during the wars and fighting over what should be right and wrong. The sick people will dissolve into dust and be forgotten about. You will ruin the human population and turn into horrors of filth and beings that shouldn't live.
This is page 2 of this manifesto that was uncovered by NGO. Natalie Samantha Rapno, 15, open fire Monday. For those who don't know yet what happened in Madison, Wisconsin, at the K-12 school in Madison, killing a classmate and a teacher and injuring 6 others. Some of them are actually sadly battling for their lives. We're impressed about the victims. However, this is particularly weird. The mayor of Madison, Satya Rose Conway, told the reporter that it was absolutely none of your business who was harmed in this accident. I mean, this is the first time we don't really have the release of immediate release of the names of the victims for some kind of hypothetical discretion by the mayor of this town. I mean, have you ever heard of something like this happening, Christy?
So he's not saying how many people?
No, the people we know. We have 6 people who were injured. We had the killing of a classmate and a teacher, but we don't know their names because apparently the mayor doesn't want to reveal them. And this is...
Usually they do, though.
Yeah. So the police is continuing to investigate the motives, and today we have uncovered these motives. She was another mass shooter who, of course, was not happy with the world because of her perceived sexuality and the way they were treating her in a Christian school. So she went for an act of revenge. But she was also very racist because these racists are pretty... Keep on citing, Christy, this manifesto. It gets even worse.
The sick people will dissolve into dust and be forgotten about. You will ruin the human population and turn into horrors of filth and beings that shouldn't live. Horrors and scum are things I hate most of all and will always hate. You have no meaning, and you and your parents should be hanged in front of everyone.
Then here, sorry for
very bad word.
Very bad word. Quoting niggas, though worse. Once you sleep with one, you are one. I don't care who you think you are or what you have done good for this word of yours. It will never matter because you were. So really also,
I mean, just horrible, horrible. I hate looking at some of the people in society and seeing what they are and what they do with their lives. Like, how does one do that? But I know how, and out of scum and just pure retardedness. She probably just stayed in her basement and hated everyone.
terrible, and this is typical of a lot of our youth.
Yeah.
They get brainwashed by the media, by the mainstream. Their sexuality is always confused. They don't seem to really, follow God's will, because when we are born, we should follow God's will for what we are. We are either a woman or a man. That's it. There's no other alternatives. There is, though, all kinds of perceptions that are mounting up, and it's not only about homosexuality in the traditional form. Nowadays, there's all this fluidity, these terms that bring you one side to the other, and these people who are more and more confused in their schools. So this teenage girl who, of course, praised the Columbine shooting, the killers of the fortunate killers of this Columbine shooting, and this band that she was also following, as we saw from the T-shirt, and the two cryptic videos also that we showed, that were posted on December 14 and December 7. So 1 week distance, one from the other. She posted these clips that appear to show an individual committing suicide at a gun range, because it seems to be a suicide, not an error, at a gun range. We can see it again. And the other one, shows a montage of images showing a masked man armed with a sword who killed two people in a 2015 incident at a school in Sweden. This is known as the Sweden sword attack. And of course, the guy also was satanic, because in Sweden, Satanism is really almost a mainstream religion. This was what happened in October 2015. A masked man armed with a sword killed a pupil and a teacher at the school in Sweden. So exactly, a pupil and a teacher, just like what she did. The suspect, clad in black, apparently posed for photos and students ahead of the attack in the western town of Trollhättan. And two further victims, a pupil and a teacher, are seriously injured. The attacker was shot by police and has died of his injuries. In this case, instead, the attacker simply killed herself in the most cowardly way, because that's what cowards like her do, and there is no justification. So she posted this video about this guy who apparently committed suicide in the gun range. We don't really understand this, but it could be connected to the fact that she was implying that she would be killing herself after this act. So she already knew that she would be killing herself. What's your take, Christy, on this satanic force? Because it's clearly a satanic force that pushes you to do something like this. And I
think it has a lot to do with that darn pandemic they forced on us and putting all the kids.
But you have to admit that the Columbine shooting happened a long time before that.
I know, but then, putting her in isolation, in that pandemic situation, it just leaves you alone with your thoughts, and they could turn evil. And a lot of kids went down during the pandemic.
Yeah, but also to have this inspiration from the trench coat mafia. That's how they call the Columbine killers. No, I wrote in my book, Volume 8, despite the hypocritical apologies of various groups of musicians like the KMFDM, Rammstein, and so on, Marilyn Manson, who also was allegedly an influence. But there is also much more, because remember that in my book I explained the real direct connection, the satanic connection of the Columbine shooters with Satanism. And I write, despite the hypocritical apologies of the various musicians involved indirectly or not in the sad event, as well as those who will mention it later with bad taste text ending up in turn censors such as Eminem, unfortunately cited the Columbine. He wanted to be cool. He's another douchebag. There is something that clearly does not fit in with this sad matter, and I'm citing volume 8 of my confessions. There is countless data which testifies to a close connection between listening to certain music and the heinous acts of the mysterious student group which called itself the Trench Coat Mafia, from the trench coat used by its members. Even Marilyn Manson's speeches in the leftist Michael Moore documentary Bowling for Columbine were probably made from Manson's guilt. A further investigation then showed that the two killers belonged to something that went far beyond the classic group of losers with integration difficulties united by a common cause or bullying. That was probably the element that she felt attracted to, but there is also much more, because she was wearing that T-shirt from that German band. There is, in my book, I explain how the actual connection with Satanism unfold, and there is a direct connection also with people like Carla LaVey, the daughter of Anton LaVey. There is a direct connection also with Boyd Rice, another very controversial figure, the artist Boyd Rice, who almost confirmed his involvement in an album entitled Music, Martinis, and Misanthropy. And now, before we end today's show dedicated to this really sad subject, I hope that you appreciated our efforts in wanting to give you a more detailed take on this event. I think that she was not happy with the word. Both accounts show that there is this hate for the rest of the world. There's a
lot of women that are kind of girls that are going nutso right now because of Trump, but their mental state isn't very good.
That is another thing, also the mental state of these people because of Trump's victory. But this in no way justifies the fact that this person went on this rampage and killed a fellow student and a teacher, and could have done even much worse if she didn't kill herself, because at one point probably she saw that there were other 6 people that she had injured. She saw that she couldn't. But it was all planned. We saw that it was all planned for her suicide. She wasn't really in any way wanting to live. She was fed up with herself living in this world, and so then she felt she had to kill other people. Now, what I'm about to make you listen. Now, in volume 11, as you know, I dedicated, apart from touching again on the subject of mass shootings connected to the big pharma, to psychoactive drugs, the antidepressants, the rise of the antidepressants from 1950s onwards. In this book, I discuss also Thomas Crooks. Thomas Crooks had a father who now claims, and the mainstream media, of course, agree with him, that he tried to stop his son. Now we will give you a different take on things, because the actual flawed report that was issued by the commission that was has been investigating the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, left out a detail which then I understood being very important, and also Able Child, which we mentioned in an article I just posted on leozagami.com a few days ago. It's very important what you're about to hear, because apparently he called many hours later, after the CNN had called him saying, your son has attempted to kill Donald J. Trump. So then, to cover his own ass, this idiot then called the police saying, oh, I'm afraid my son did something wrong. So now we know how things have unfolded. And Able Child It says, why didn't the task force subpoena the parents to get some much needed answers? I said in volume 11 that they are equally as responsible because they are two therapeutes. They are two people who are acquainted with the mental illness, who should know the signs of mental illness. And why was the father saying he gave the gun when he had actually given the gun already? I mean, the son already had the ownership of the gun from 1 year prior to that, because he gave him the ownership of the gun. So you don't ask for a gun if you already have the. So the task force owed to the American people and owes to the American people proof, physical evidence that Crooks was the shooter. And to suggest that this report is a comprehensive review of what occurred about the Pennsylvania on July 13th is insulting. Let's be honest, the American people already knew that the Secret Service was incompetent. We didn't need a commission to come up with something so obvious. Well, instead, we will not know anything about the autopsy. Explained that the toxicology findings show negative results for alcohol and drugs or abuse, including control. But we don't know that because, as I explained in volume 11, his body was cremated 10 days later. So we need to simply believe in what they're saying. I mean, the body was removed from the scene during the early hours of July 14th, and it was cremated 9 days later. So this is also very. We are talking about Thomas Crooks here, just so people don't get confused with what happened in Madison. We're talking about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and I think it's very important that people realize that there might be still a massive cover-up, because he apparently called at 10:56 p.m. on the day. Everybody in America knew what happened at that point. The task force explained that Crooks' father exited the residence, stepped onto the front porch, and asked something to the effect of, "Is it true? CNN called me and told me that..." What? This is just stupid. Now, sorry, the quote is Crooks' father is it true? CNN called me and told me that, and we don't know what, shot Trump. Probably he called his son with some bad name. And then the task force is asking American people to believe that the father waited until 10:56 p.m. It happened in a few hours before. You don't wait. Everybody in America knew by. So it's really weird.
We knew right away. We were all watching it. We did a show that day.
And then seriously, why would the son have to ask for the gun if he owned it for a year? And according to Senator Grassley report, the alleged shooter used it at the time of the local gun range. Why you should ask your father? There is some inconsistencies here. Absolutely. And this is the phone call that his criminal father did to cover up his own ass. This is the only explanation that we can give. To cover his own ass, the father of Thomas Crooks did this phone call.
Allegheny County 911, what is the address of your emergency? All right, is this a house, business, or an apartment?
It's a house.
All right, just please repeat that address for us for verifications. All right, your first and last name?
Matthew Crooks, Crooks.
All right, Matthew, and the number you're calling from, please. All right, do you need police, fire, or EMS?
Police.
All right, let me transfer you over to Bethel Park, okay? Hang on one moment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm being transferred to Bethel Park Police.
Bethel Park Police. That's a Allegheny with a transfer for...
Hi, yes, my name's Matthew Crooks. I was calling in regards to my son, Thomas. He belongs to the Clareton Sportsman Club in Clareton, and I don't have the number for Jefferson Police on hand. The reason I'm calling is he left the house here at about 1:45 this afternoon, and we've gotten no contact from him, no text messages, nothing's been returned, and he's not home yet. That's totally not like him, so we're kind of worried, not really sure what we should do.
Well, this seems to be a complete cover-up by a dishonest person who wants to cover up his own ass for not having recognized what his son was about to do on July 13th, 2024. Just a few days before, on July 7th, 2024, Thomas Matthew Crooks visited the Butler farm also to check up and prepare, of course, for the attempted assassination of Trump. But nobody's focusing on the fact that this phone call, which you just heard, was done, I repeat, at 10:56. I mean, Crooks was already dead for a few hours, and everybody in America knew. And apparently CNN had already called them. So, I mean, what do you think, Christy?
Liar, liar, lying again, like they always lie. Lying like right now. Lying about the drones.
Huh?
Lie.
Yeah, definitely the drones.
All lies. It's all lies. You can't even get the truth. You only get the truth from the Leo Zagami show, because if you try to go on the news, they're going to tell you some bullshit. And even the alternative media.
Crooks fired at around 6 o'clock. And that was the moment he fired the first of 8 shots into the rally. And Trump paused his speech. Trump raised his hands to. That
was terrible.
That was terrible, and it happened because, of course, the parents of this Thomas Crooks, like I explain in my book, were equally involved in facilitating the possible assassination. Fortunately, nothing happened. In fact, in the opening music, that you every time we start with our MAGA Counter Cognitive Warfare, this is episode 8, we always play the song that was sung in Butler, Pennsylvania, by Macho, by the guy. Vincero. And it's very important because, guys, the history of the United States will have completely changed. But let's continue to hear this call by the father of Thomas Crooks.
Okay, and your address is?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I would say, hold on 1 second for me. What's a good phone number for you?
All
right, how old is he?
He's 20 years old.
All right, and you said it was about 1:45.
Allegheny County 911, what is the address of your emergency? All right, is this a house, business, or an apartment?
It's a house.
All right, just please repeat that address for us for verifications.
He just wanted to cover his ass, and the thing is that nobody's doing anything. The actual report that was put together by this commission, this congressional task force, however you want to call it, didn't really bring out these incongruencies, especially from the parents. The fact that he said, I gave him the gun when the gun was actually already of his son and had been of his son. I mean, it was.
Would it make him look more guilty, though, to say I gave him it?
No, I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
Crooks told his father that he was going to the local gun range. That's okay, but it seems obvious to ask if the father legally transferred the weapon to your son the year prior to that you should. Why would the father have to give him the weapon? This is.
It's just a lie.
It's a lie.
That's why it doesn't.
And we need to expose it. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for following the Leo Zagami show. Please support us with the purchase of our books.
You guys have been cooking like crazy.
But if you can
I gotta get my cooking.
Yes. Yes. this Christmas you want to cook something nice, something Italian, true Italian cuisine, not just authentic, as Christy calls it, authentic. Zagami Family Cookbook is a book full of recipes that are explained in a very clear way with nice pictures. That's why the book is a little bit more expensive than a normal book, simply because the pictures are colored. It's I mean, you can eat like a king if you, and it's easy. You can make your own pasta also, not only the sauces, but also your fresh pasta. Christy has hacked the tricks and she explains them in detail, and also how to make pizza. How to make pizza. So check out this book. It's
I figured out how to do it, and I'm letting you know how, all my secrets. So you can learn everything, all the secrets.
It's the best Christmas present if you want to.
And I never knew that stuff when I was living in Brooklyn. I only learned that stuff when I went to Rome. So I mean, and even the stuff about the Napolitan cooking and everything, because I'm from Naples. I learned everything.
Great grandparents were from Naples, but you definitely learned a lot in Italy. And now you master this.
I was making sauce from a jar when I met Leo.
And now instead, she's really actually receiving compliments left, right, and center, even from professional chefs in Italy. So I'm very glad about Christy's transformation, especially because I enjoyed it.
I always knew how to cook, though.
Yeah. So it seems like it took us some time. You see? Bye bye. See you on Saturday for the Leo Zagami show. Don't miss it at 5 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. MT, 7 p.m. CST, and 8 p.m. EST. Today, of course, during the week when we do our shows, we might broadcast a bit earlier. I hope we also get some feedback from you on the times we broadcast, also from Europe, not only from the United States, as this earlier time should facilitate a lot of people in Europe. So they can follow us, no?
Yeah, we're here for you guys too.
Get the books. Volume 11, The Past, Present, and Future of Mind.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for sponsoring the show.
Take care.
Technology, social organization, dehumanization.